Thank you for being here. And I'd like to say, to start with, Happy New Year. Happy 2026. And I'd like to just simply say, very healthy and Happy New Year. I know this is sort of overrated, these words, but I think if you prioritize health and you put your health as a priority, everything will flow exactly the way you want. Because when we have a good health, we have energy. When we have energy, we seem to be coping with things a little bit better. We understand the stress and calmness and how to cope with this. We have capacity to understand what is right or wrong or how to make a decision. The health is such a big part of it. Healthy body, healthy mind. I'm sure you've heard about it. So I won't go more into the details in this video, but if I would wanted to suggest in a moment where we're going to be a little bit breathing at the beginning of this practice, I just wanted to be such a short, I know I have a difficulties to make a short practices because when I start flowing, I feel that there has to be the end of the practice, meaning longer, a little bit in the Shavasana. So we're going to skip the Shavasana completely today. I wanted to just sort of introduce myself for those who never met me or you're watching this video and you say, who is this girl? For those who are watching it and they know me and been with me, this is my 8th year of teaching yoga. Mindfulness. I also coach health. I'm a health coach and I do retreats. So there is kind of a variety of things that I love. My food, so lifestyle choices. I've been actually really getting into and implementing lots of things over the years. But for today, I want you to just invite you to sit with me. We're going to be sitting, so it's very much sort of sitting and working through the fascia, a little bit of a get into the breath and meditating, gently stretching, and that would be it for this, just to get you started and get you excited that a practice doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be strong, it doesn't have to be advanced. It's about starting. So it doesn't matter where you are, start where you are. And I'm going to try to sort of bring some videos, at least once video in a month too. And of course you can drop in into the classes if you wanted a longer one, which I would recommend that. So you have a sort of regular thing. And then get into it because of yoga practice will really help you, whether it's physical benefits, mental, emotional benefits, releases everything, all that things that we carry in our body. It's just we need to release that, and also it has a spiritual benefit. So let me just start with what I've got. So you can see I've got a yoga mat. I have a meditation cushion, but it doesn't have to be meditation cushion. Could be just any cushion, just slightly elevate your pelvis. I have a blanket here. Blanket is always good to have just in case we need to prop some parts of the body. If this is called Sukhasana, cross legs. If this doesn't work for you, get another cushion. So go a little bit higher, and please do not feel like, oh my God, I can't sit like this. Go as high as you can. If the knees goes a little bit higher, that's absolutely fine. Or prop something here outside of your thighs, so they can actually stay, not in the air, but they wanted to soften into some support. Okay. And I've got a chair. Any chair is good. If you don't have a chair that it has a space here, don't worry, I'll show you how to use when we eventually lie down. And then nothing else. So just yourself, a little bit of obviously comfy outfit, a bit of cushion, blanket, and then chair. Okay. And then let's straight away Give yourself a roll through the shoulders. So I just came from 7 mile walk, and yeah, please do not be scared if this is not in your routine. That's absolutely fine. This is a time of the year, winter is a time of the year where we feel joints are quite stiff. So you might be walker, you might be something that you do tennis racket sports, you might be someone you never done anything or haven't done for longer. You might be someone who practice a regular. Still, this practice, even if it's just a short one, hopefully, as I said, it will kind of sparks you a little bit of interest. I haven't done a very much yin yoga in a long time, and I just think as we age, as we, you know, even if you're 30 or 35, 40, every day it's a day where we, you know, I don't say that we have to be older. I actually have that quote. I'm not getting older, I'm getting bolder. So you can be younger in your body, in your mind as you're getting older, but we still, you know, the day by day, we're getting older, and therefore we need to protect our bodies. We need to protect our bodies, the joints, the bone density, the working through the belly, which is all about the parasympathetic response. And this kind of practice, because we are going to be holding for a little bit longer, it really enhances the calmness, the introspection, which is great in this time of the year. We don't need to feel like we need to, it's not a cardio, it's actually staying on the mat and then bring a little bit of the calmness into the body. Okay, so hands onto your knees. Now, this is a sort of way that I start with the knees and I turn the palm of the hands upwards sort of naturally with the index finger and thumb together. Now, if this is not natural for you, this kind of sparks the concentration. So this allows me as well to really bring myself into the center. I automatically kind of really ground my sit bones towards the mat and I shift a little bit higher. Now, if you're not really feeling this, and if this is something really new, this is it's almost impossible to notice. Just have your hands onto your knees. This is a really lovely to start the new year and practice being grounded. Just keep the elbows bent because this is important for not to putting too much pressure onto the shoulders. Okay, so however that feels the right for you, and then take a breath in into the nostrils, into the new year, and breathe out. And again, breathe in and then breathe out. And if you haven't had a moment to breathe out, saying goodbye to 2025, do that in the next 3 breaths. So breathe in, something nice, refreshing, healthy. As you're breathing in, new year, and then breathe out that everything old from 2025. And again, breathe in and let go of the breath. Breathe in and let go of the breath. Nice. Okay, so let's bring the legs a little bit higher, and then we're going to sit sort of onto the side of the hips. So I'm just going to adjust that cushion, and the feet goes, we call this hero pose. So the both legs are onto one side, but one foot is internal and one foot is, or one leg or hip is internal, which is your this bottom leg, and then one is external. As you can see, my knee is not on the floor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll the blanket and I'm going to place, and especially because I'm actually sitting on a cushion, so that will help you to well, it will give you a little bit of the lift onto the knee. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to bring the hands a little bit towards the chair. So what we wanted to focus in, it's actually into this hip. So if you are mirroring me where you would have an opposite leg, so you would have your right leg forward, this is a left leg. So when we are, so this is your external rotation of your hip, we want it to come closer to the chair and then focusing onto that front of the leg hip. Now this leg could actually give a little bit of giveaway, so you can have slightly a little bit more looser because we are sort of twisting towards the chair. And then we just start breathing into that hip inside. So finding if you can feel there any sensation, just a little bit of rock from side to side. So give yourself a little bit of rocking. And then when you find a spot where you feel that stronger sensation, then, and of course, you can go a little bit lower with your body. You can move the chest slightly farther away if you wanted to go a little bit more deeper into the, but you don't have to have 100% range of the motions, meaning like you want it to stay a little bit, you want it to have a little bit of a space, so you're breathing into it. So what we're doing, we're breathing into that hip, right? So if you think about a circle, and around the circle is the point in the middle, and this is into your hip, and that creates a lot of tension into our hip. So this will help with our circulation. It will still, you can sort of move from side to side if you haven't got, if you're not feeling it this yet. Really, when we start pressing, is so kind of sort of like compressing. We're moving into the fascia, so we're gently stretching the fascia, and then we're moving towards the bones. So we're protecting the bones. We create the circulation. We enhance the circulation. We encourage that. We call this qi in Chinese. They call it qi. So we encourage the qi flow of the qi as the vital force, as your breath, to move freely through the body, and helps with also with improves the function and nutrient absorption as well. So more we pressing onto that point, and then we coming away from it, that starts the fluidity and then flow of the prana, which is our breath, which is the chi, starts moving around inside, outside of the bone. It really helps in also with the bone density, fascia rejuvenations, and as you can see, as you can feel, we are just sort of compressing slightly onto that hip where we can release. So this is, you don't have to be walker as a regular walker to kind of have the benefits. Everyone will benefit as we age. So if I think of 45 plus or 50, if you're really doing lots of walks and very dynamic movement, or even running or tennis or anything that it's very dynamic, this is what really creates that balance between your energies, your nervous system, emotional, physical, mental. Because you're in a stillness, you are activating that parasympathetic response, you are sort of breathing into it. So really allowing that sort of, as you can hear, yin into your yang. So you're balancing the energy. And now we'll just lift up. And then let's see if that feels any okay for you to cross that leg or not. If it's not, just stay somewhere a little bit forward and then going forward towards the leg. If you can cross a little bit farther, cross a little bit farther. Now you might feel this type of the hip, have a little bit of a circling. I might just remove this jumper so just kind of you see my body a little bit better, because as we wanted to, and then we're going to go onto this side. So your top leg, as it crosses over this bottom leg, bottom knee, so knee comes forward, we're going to bend across, create a little bit of a space onto the side, and then we're going slightly forward, We call this shoelace. If it doesn't work for you or your hips or your knees that they cannot bear this, I'd like to, please let me know. I can give you a little bit of extra more alternative. I know the alternative could be that you extend this leg, but then you don't really feel as much into the hip. You start noticing more your hamstring. So I would suggest to contact me directly, and then we can do one-to-one practice together session, and I can give you more sort of support how you can actually practice this with more support. Okay, so we're pressing into it. You can maybe feel on this side, and then so we could actually be there for a little bit longer, but I just wanted to introduce you this because could be quite strong if we stay for too long. And then, especially if we're starting this, okay, if you're starting this. Now we're going to take the chair to the other side. And we're going to move the legs opposite direction. As you can see, now the legs go this direction, both in the same direction. So knees towards the chair. I'm going to support because I'm sitting on the meditation cushion, which I think is really lovely. So it helps you to lift a little bit. And then we wanted to have this blanket somewhere here onto your knee, maybe starting from under the hip to really, and then maybe notice this. So this is my right leg. I don't know if you've started with the right or left, but make sure you do the opposite side. And now we're going again towards the chair. So I need to move the chair a little bit. So if starts almost pulling onto the back of the leg, let's that leg to be free. Okay, so we have a free leg, a little bit more, readjust that hip, and then turn your body slightly towards the chair. If you start having any sort of discomfort into the lower back or hip, don't twist too much. Just support yourself with the hands onto the chair. Or for those who love this little stretch, you can go even lower down. I know that for those who practice this on a regular basis, whether it's this hero pose or moving into the pigeon, you can go all the way down or onto the bolster. You can even have your head onto the chair. And then again, we're breathing into the right hip. So this is my right leg, my external rotation, breathing into the leg, which is closer to the chair. And I want you to observe this. Observe how does it feel within this side, because each side is very different. Each side tells us something different. The right side might be a little bit more tense. I've noticed that lots of people, they have a tense side, right side, just because maybe we are more dynamic with the right side. We drive with the right foot as well. It's something with the right side that it could be if you're right-handed as well. The whole right side could be a little bit more just unease sometimes, or you're stepping with the right foot more often, or you're leaning onto the right side, or you're crossing the leg onto the right side. So there's a lot of things that sometimes the right hip could be actually a little bit more tight, and that's okay. We just need to breathe through it. Again, maybe there is something that feels really, it might feel very uncomfortable if your body's not used to it compressing. So we're really compressing and we're not stroking the muscles, but we are going deep down below the muscles towards that fascia. So we're gently stretching that fascia so it has a little bit more, so your hip, so your joints is more mobile. And I think that as we age, we that practice holding for longer, it's actually really beneficial. So I will be implementing this also in my practices, which is on a weekly basis in a studio. Of course, I'm quite, I would say, not, I don't want to say unknown, but I do have a lot of clients that I do one-to-ones on a regular basis in the last 6 years. So you could have either one-to-one with me or The choice is yours, or group classes, or just practicing this video and re-practice, and there will be more. So choose what is right for you this practice and in this year. And I always think it's lovely to have a recording, and it's even much lovely when we all meet up, and as the people they start knowing each other and building this community. It's just been really beautiful to see over the last few years how how we need one another, how people love seeing each other, booking the retreats, sharing this growth, and evolve. We evolve when we practice together. It's we have this sometimes this light bulb throughout the practice or at the end of the practice. So we share the experiences. We travel together. It's a quite profound experience when you start practicing and have a community. Okay, so when you're ready, just come up. And then slowly, so take it slow. Now we wanted to cross the leg, readjust our sitting position right into, I'm just still using this blanket. So you can use this blanket as much as you need to on the knee, on your toes, you see. So I'm coming back to straight. So that's the important part. And then again, so I'm a little bit circling. So this is my left leg. So what I'm doing anti-clockwise. Okay, so choose. If you've got a right leg, you do clockwise. Now we're going towards that hip. Okay, so we're going towards the hip. Breathe out here. This is a really lovely side of the body. Is really lovely to open. And again, we're opening to the new year, a little bit very gently. So instead of closing the chest, you're opening the chest, rotating up towards the sky. And then we're going to go a little bit forward. So again, almost like you wanted to touch your belly and then chest onto the leg, onto the thigh. If it's too low here, you don't have to. Or if it's too low, if you can't go there, just stay a little bit upright. And then we come up. So this is, again, as I said, the shoelace is very strong, but we could practice together in a studio or one-to-one if you wanted to. So it's, I do like making these videos, and yet, you know, there is always lovely to see how you respond to it, how you, because this kind of poses when we're holding, it becomes quite challenging. So because it becomes very uncomfortable, people like to come away from it very quickly. Okay, so bring the legs, sole of the feet together. Just give yourself, I don't like this too much movement here when we come into butterfly, not go up and down. So make sure you have enough space so you're safe, so you don't go all the way down too quickly and all the way up. Do in the middle. So I can go lower down, but I'm doing in the middle parts. So the joints has a lot of space around it. And then we'll let ourselves slightly go lower down towards that butterfly. It's beautiful. This is amazing space here inside our legs, the belly. So it's got a space. Take a nice deep breath in. And then sometimes when we're really holding, we start noticing here, the shoulders. So loosen up a little bit, elbows slightly bent. Look maybe forward in front. Don't drop the head, because then we'll really compress your back of the neck. So being nice and tall, and in order to do this, you are kind of squeezing the shoulder blades in and then chest forward. So my spine, it's very straight there. So really, really elevated. This is very important. So I'm just going to show you as well, because then we'll move towards the chest. So you don't have to move, but I want you to show you the spine effect. So it's not here, because this is not benefit to you at all. You need to have a spine straight. Then if you have a chair and if we want to go on forward, so my feet are still into butterfly. And So if I wanted to lengthen my spine a little bit more, because this butterfly is quite strong, then I go a little bit away from the chair. If I can go a little bit forward, I go forward. It's nice to work through these hips and then come back. So that's enough. And then what we do, we'll just shake a little bit. We'll lie down just for a second. And again, I love chairs. I think chairs is such a lovely prop. And then come all the way down. Now that cushion comes towards or head under there on the top of the chair. Sorry, definitely not. Head on the cushion and then feet onto the chair and then come and give yourself a little bit of a swinging. Definitely not head on the top of the chair. Feet on the top of the chair. Oh, well, that happens, isn't it? Sometimes we say things that doesn't make any sense, but hey. Okay, now come and legs up, shake your legs. And now let's cross one leg after another. So this is when we were sitting, this was shoelace. So we're not going to have a space here. We're going to cross the legs and then reach the hands opposite direction. Now, if you can take your foot under the chair and now squeeze again. Oh, this is lovely. So this is a shoelace, but actually lying down. Now try to make sure that your shoulders are not lifted too much. So drop the shoulders. So have a look. So I'm not now dropping the shoulder, spreading the shoulder blades across. If you cannot reach towards towards the ankles, go a little bit lower or go here. Okay, but bring your top of the leg closer. And as you bring in closer and the bottom leg closer towards the abdomen, you start noticing that sensation more. Focus on the top of the leg hip. So if my right leg is on the top, focus on the right hip. Squeezing in and then shake the legs, and then change. So again, leg, right leg, left hand, left leg, right hand. So opposite, and then squeezing in. So now we wanted to focus here. So this is the top of the leg. Let's focus on it. And then if you can feel that, just start sort of a little bit of rocking from side to side, squeezing in both legs. Gently draw the shoulders down. Really breathe out into it. Really notice those sensations. And then release. Good. Taking the heels onto the chair or just slide the legs all the way onto the chair. You can have something to cover yourself if you like. It's always nice to be warm. So warmth, it's very, very important into the winter. I like this. When you put your blankets closer to the sit bones, your lower back, socks, always socks in the winter, and then just lie down. Taking the few breaths. Notice, so this is the circulation suddenly moves throughout. And we don't notice that when we're actually compressing, you will notice that when you're here, when you're not compressing of anything, when you're not stretching about anything, when you're not really squeezing things in, it's like when you let go. So when you let go here, you can have your hands onto the abdomen. Gently breathe in towards the belly. Breathe out. Soft breath. A little bit rise that belly on the 3 seconds. Soft belly. Let the belly fall towards the spine. Let the hips be heavy. Relax through your shoulders. Elbows slightly wider. Let the feet completely relax onto the chair. Now, I want you to notice how that feels. How does it feel just to be with me here, practice, and then just lie down and then really breathe into the body? So, if you had a pause of practice, if you feel like you haven't had a chance to really come home to yourself and then giving yourself this time, this is every time you arrive on yoga practice, this is your time. You're building this inner resilience within yourself. You start knowing yourself a little bit more, what you need, when you need it, how much to stretch, how much you need to press to be more dynamic, how much you need to slow down. All of that, every practice, it's like a little whispering. And if this makes you feel really good, that you really need to lie down, repractice the end of this video. And yes, if you have this favorite music of yours that you like, you can play that favorite music. And then we're just going to squeeze the thighs in towards the chest. And then keep rocking a little bit, rocking towards the side. This is the safer way. And oh, stay there a little bit onto the side. So I have my knees bent. I have my elbows bent. I'm onto the chair. Sorry, I'm onto the cushion, me and my chair. And then this is a really lovely way to coming out of this. And then I want you to stay there. Before, I'm going to use my chimes. I always do. So stay there. And then having this little bit of a sound that the practice is at the end almost. And then when you're ready, you lift yourself up onto the side. And then we go back to sit on this cushion. And you just come here. Bring your hands into the prayer. Thank you for joining me. And yes, as I said, we do have different practices, a little bit more dynamic, slower, more restorative. So you can sort of practice in different times when you need different things. So you can balance your yin and you can balance your yang. Okay, so take a nice deep breath in into that new year, maybe with the slowness, maybe with a little bit more awareness that you're going to bring it in, maybe with a little bit of this sort of when we slow down, we start feeling more and noticing more. Maybe that's your little intention, or maybe it's a big intention. Just it sounds like really simple. And sometimes the simple intentions that are more profound intentions. So again, take a deep breath in and then bow. Namaste, and I'll see you soon.